Hello, everyone. We are back with Abolishing Nonsense with Brian, Willie, and myself, Vin. We want to first thank everyone for the support. This is our third episode, and in the last episode, our second episode, we verified that we had 10,000 listeners. So, really appreciate the support. Definitely, I think what we're talking about and how open we are with men's mental health and issues has been really well received by everyone, including women. And we just want to say thank you. We appreciate the support. Continue to share our content. We will be posting a lot more content. So not only are we going to be posting and pushing our new episodes out, but we'll be posting a lot of clips on social media. And we also welcome questions. So if anyone has questions or whatnot, please comment or DM us. I know I've got a lot of DMs with feedback, good and bad, as well as questions. So we definitely will want to address that going forward. So again, thank you again. And in today's episode, we're going to be really hitting on something that's really relevant. I know the stock market and the economy is all over it, which is AI, artificial intelligence, and how it affects men's mental health and our society in general, and also covering social media. I mean, in many ways, they're integrated. So obviously, social media started before AI in many ways. So we really want to address that and how it's affecting, because obviously it has made a huge impact in society, and I believe in men's mental health. And so, Brian, do you want to kick off with some of the topics? I know this is a very heated subject. I know I'm very heated on it. I'm very
Yep.
triggered with how men's mental health is with AI and how men uh, have reacted and how their behavior has changed. But I'll hand over the baton to you.
Yeah, thank you, Amanda. And good seeing you guys again. And I think it's definitely a good thing to talk about social media, AI, and it's appropriate this coming into September now, because just so the audience listening knows, is September is actually Men's Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and I think it's really really important to use this month, if you haven't already done so, just to reach out to men in your lives, friends, whomever, cousins, family, like just to see how they're doing. If it's someone you haven't heard from in a while, you have any sort of concerns, anything, that just is out of the ordinary, definitely, just reach out to them, drop them a text, phone call, just to say, how are you doing?
Yeah,
Through
real
social
quick,
media.
Brian. Real quick, Brian, I did not know that, and I really appreciate you mentioning it. I think it's really important that everyone does do that, because I feel like men's mental health, has been sliding on the radar, and a lot of it's to our own detriment, right? I mean,
Yes.
we ourselves tend to bottle a lot of things in, and there's this whole thing, and whereas if men talk about things or mental health, we're weak, which is really really false.
Yep.
Anything stronger men are able to speak about their issues and be solutions oriented, which you've said before.
Hmm.
And I do want to give a shout out. I did lose a friend who was a childhood friend, Daniel Jordan, back in State College. He did commit suicide, and I do wish that I did reach out more to him, and want to give a shout out to his family and prayers to him. I know he's looking down upon us, and a big part of what we're doing, I do dedicate to him. And I hope that anyone that's going through any issues is willing to reach out, including my friends. I know our tribe, we definitely keep care of each other. So we appreciate you mentioning that. I did not realize September is Men's Suicide Prevention Month.
Yeah, no problem, man. And for anyone who's listening, again, if you haven't heard from a friend in a while, someone who maybe like just the pattern doesn't match up, like maybe they're upbeat but suddenly they're very sullen, or maybe they post a lot, they stop posting, or things like that, just reach out to them. It couldn't hurt. I'll just say that, like just checking in. There's never a downside to it, and it could lead to better things. You never know when you could be uplifting someone, and actually just, I think the image of like the really sad guy that doesn't talk to anybody, that's not actually always accurate. Sometimes it's actually the chipper people, because they're really trying to like make everybody happy, right? But look at Robin Williams, right? I think he's actually probably the the most famous example, comedian, always makes people laugh, but he's just so like has so much hurt inside. And so I just wanted to use this opportunity just to definitely let some of the men out there be aware of, like you said, their strength in opening up and finding solutions to some of the barriers in your life. And there's no strength though in bottling it up because nothing gets done about it. So I appreciate you bringing that up, man. And
Absolutely.
hey, look, and so the social media part, like you said, it really preceded the whole AI movement that
MySpace, baby.
MySpace,
MySpace. Hell
Friendster.
yeah.
What are you gonna
Yeah.
do for the top 8?
Yeah. Oh man, you remember how mad some women got if like their girlfriends weren't in the top 8? Ooh. I mean,
Yeah.
oh man.
It was
God.
even a Weird Al lyric in White and Nerdy. Got
Yeah,
friends fighting for top 8 spaces.
man. But see, even back then, and MySpace was what, like early 2000s, right?
I
No,
think so, yeah.
Right?
Remember MySpace Tom or what the hell his name
Yeah.
was?
Yeah,
See, I
yeah.
Tom.
loved MySpace because you were able to customize your profile beyond belief. Both
Oh,
your backgrounds
everything.
and everything.
You
Yeah.
see how little some people knew about HTML programming.
Yeah.
My background looked
Yeah.
like neon vomit. It was awesome.
Yeah. But you know what, though? There was so much customization, but as with anything else, it's good and bad, right? I mean, for some people, they made new friends, and that's great because people would have meetups. I know the MySpace company, for example, they would have a ton of those big meetups, and people would practice real social skills and all that. But then the downside, of course, is people would lose social skills because look, talking over the internet is one thing. Now talking face to face with another person, well, that's quite another. And in fact, like something Willie and I can remember is hell, even before MySpace. Willie, remember like what was that game? Was it EverQuest? That massive
Oh, yeah.
before Warcraft, World of Warcraft, it was like
I
EverQuest.
don't think the
And
kids these days remember WoW, depending on where they are.
oh, you can Google it, and then you'll see what really started this whole like lack of just human engagement, like because people would get so immersed in these
Mhm.
universes, and the common thread was the video gaming. So if you were good at it, you didn't really need the social skills because people didn't need you for that. They wanted you in their clan, their whatever,
Yep.
because you were good, right? And I think that still happens today. But then it's to their detriment of some of these young men who just spend all day on it, whether it's social media, gaming, and actually they're one and the same because social media, like Facebook and all that, have games embedded in them now, and
Right.
so
Yeah. And dating now,
The
apparently.
little
I
and
saw.
dating,
Yeah, there's dating now integrated. I didn't realize it. I was opening the app. I'm rarely on Facebook, and I saw there's like a love icon. And what the fuck is this?
I thought they
And I
had
click
Zeus
on it.
some years ago, or like a separate app that they bought or something like that. They did the Silicon Valley thing.
yeah,
But yeah,
Yeah, that's
mm-hmm.
usually the case. I mean, all these guys just buy these startup apps, right? And then they just
Right,
integrate it, and see how it works.
yeah, no, absolutely, and yeah, then so social media. I mean, it started to cause problems. I think with now people just posting. Some of them, I think, it started with them posting positive things in their life, right? Like they have kids, they meet somebody, they go on vacation, they got a new job, really awesome stuff. But unfortunately, as tends to happen, human beings, we all like to one up each other, and we start posting things that are maybe half true, right? Like just to kind of mask like maybe our lives aren't as great, but we don't want the world to know that. We want everyone to think we're really, really happy. And then, unfortunately, influencers kind of came into power, so to speak, and really started amping it up by posting like lavish vacations that, I mean, sometimes, let's be real, it's covered by a sponsor or whatever, but they don't always say that. And then you get very impressionable young people who are like, I want that. There's a lot of this, I want that, but never this, I'm going to do this to get that, you see?
Right.
And that
Yeah.
sets up, go ahead.
Yeah. Just real quick to take a step back with MySpace and all that. I mean, you guys are just a little bit older than I am. I remember, well, I graduated high school, the class of 2010, right? So
Mm.
I remember MySpace was thing. Facebook just really started getting going. It's funny when they do Facebook memories. I'm going, what? I posted that?
Oh yeah.
Because I believe I was the last generation really where social media wasn't too big in our lives. Because
Right.
I still remember, we always hung out, in person. We still went to arcades. We played outside, right? We did a lot of outdoor the things that people used to do. They may still do it today a little bit, but it's not as apparent as it was. But I just feel that I was really the last generation before social media got really, really intensified.
Mm.
Because I feel it's really the past 10 years really when social media is and I feel like it's really getting worse today. But where do you guys see where things really change? Because I feel that social media has just been in our lives for so long, but I feel like it's just really, really more amplified in the bad ways recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like before it wasn't really as bad. When you had the AIM chats and MySpace and early Facebook, right?
ICQ.
Early Twitter. Yeah, I felt
ICQ.
like I felt it was just more about posting things quickly and just
Yeah.
and just like you said, posting just updates, right? But I feel like it wasn't really something that you had to do. It was just more of,
Right.
oh hey, this chat real quick, or hey, I'm here or whatnot. And but I feel like the masses weren't really using it as much as in recent years.
That's a great question. I mean, off the top of my head, I can think of two milestone events. One is the ability to geotag where you're at.
Mhm.
Then people, right, would post a
Oh, that's a
picture
good
of
point. Yeah.
them like at Niagara Falls, let's say, and tag Niagara Falls, right? And then, of course, the silly thing about that is you don't actually have to be there to be able to geotag yourself there. The other is, and this is a very recent phenomenon, at least recent in the last few years, filters.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know too many men that use filters. Maybe if they made like a Looney Tunes filter or something that we'd use it. But
Or the
no, no.
Snapchat filter where you can put your face on a bodybuilder's physique. I just discovered that the other day. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
going to use this every single day now.
I feel that politics has really fueled social media, in my opinion. I
Mm,
feel that politics is really what took it to a new level in a bad way. Because I felt like before we all just used it for fun, right? It's
yes.
hey, I found someone I want to know a little bit more about them. Because remember MySpace, you were able to put your interests, your hobbies, and everything. AIM was where you talk with your friends after school or after practice, right?
Yeah.
If you played sports, and that's where all the gossip was going on. But even then, it wasn't that bad. Um, but I felt it was with politics, and I say this because unfortunately, I was one of the people that really brought politics to social
So this is
media.
all your fault.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, and look, it was business. Okay, we all have done things in our lives where we may kind of go, the impact was a little bit more than I thought. But this was, I think, it was my fourth company, right, or third company. But I remember seeing, during the Obama era, and really transition from Obama era to the Trump era, we saw there was a huge opportunity. This was with Von Global, and I had a mentor of mine who was one of the most prolific PR people in the world, crisis managers, and we met up, and I said, look, social media is probably one of the best ways of communicating to the masses without any filter, right? Because with mainstream media, you had a lot of producers and a lot of journalists where you had some sort of filter, right? And some kind of way to to go through them before you got to the masses. But with
Mm.
social media, it was direct. I mean, you can DM people or you post something and you can get it to them. And then I think when we were really transitioning is around 2008 to 2012 is when ads started to really pick up, right? I think this is when the social media companies really saw a huge opportunity to utilize advertising. It was really the Wild West. So that's when we really started to do social media content around politicians running campaigns, or these nonprofit political advocacy groups really started picking that up. So, in my opinion, and unfortunately, I know this too well, politics was when really I think the divisive content really started to creep in,
Yeah.
and everyone else started to pile on top, right?
Right.
What was really around politics.
Well, I
So
mean,
I
yeah, they were.
apologize to the masses and everyone listening, but I think politics really brought out the some positives, right? Because we did push a lot of things that were positive awareness about policies and certain issues that people need to know about,
Yep.
that people need to be aware about, and we were able to organize groups in a positive way to advocate for these issues. But at the same time, human behavior is you always have these bad groups that also utilize that tool
Right.
for the negative effects of it, and then you also have campaigns going against each other. So really, and I think that really kind of spread like a disease in many ways to other verticals of social media, whether it's teenagers making fun of each other or going against each other, to celebrities, to everyday life, everything, right?
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? I know, Willie, you're
No,
about to say something.
I think the Obama campaign did online engagement masterfully. I'm not supporting or denying. I don't. Again, I've said multiple times. I'll say it again for the new listeners. I don't give a damn what you believe. Believe in something, and try to live the life of not a dickhead over it. But no, the Obama campaign did social media engagement wonderfully. I think it was a perfect storm of the iPhone. People forget in the olden stone days before 2007, when you had to hit the 7 key 4 times to get an S. It was literally revolutionary when the iPhone 1 came out, even though it had restrictions that we wouldn't tolerate today, like group texts were awful. It was sleeker than the BlackBerry, but a lot of the infrastructure had already been laid, especially in the
Hmm.
business and connectivity spaces. So yeah, whoever, I don't know who had the bright idea on Obama's team to, like, hey, what about all this social stuff? Let's get on their spaces.
I
I think
knew
it was
them.
masterful, and it only gets worse over time because you have what's called the law of technological convergence, where everything needs to become everything else. Like it's not just a phone; it's your $1,000 disposable pocket computer. Uh, it's only natural for things to integrate over time because I'm not a psychologist. Brian, correct me if I'm full of it. I think we as a species are kind of addicted to a one size or one solution fits all mentality. I don't just want a phone on it. I mean, part of me does want to get like an old Nokia brick and just carry that around. And like, I'm sorry if I don't get to you when I'm at home, then I don't want to talk to you. Uh, but it's absolutely an echo chamber because people need to understand, if you're not paying for Facebook, it means you're the product. Okay? You're being served ads, you're being served links to click on, you're being served rage bait. It's self-fulfilling. Facebook and other platforms want you to click on stuff, and they're going to serve you whatever content their algorithms think is going to make you engage. And if that happens to be a bunch of, conspiracy crap about flat earths and lizard people, then that's all you're going to see.
And flat
And
earthers can go to hell, by the way. Stupid asses.
yeah, it's literally right underneath the shelf that they think holds up the planet. So yeah, it is sad. There is obviously danger involved, but from a technological standpoint, what the hell did you expect? It optimizes to perpetuate itself, and it needs money to do that, and it needs engagement. So, yeah, of
And
course,
that's spot on.
yeah, I don't
Willie,
think it's
I've
maybe
shown you data
boundary. I think
before.
it's more siloed.
Right. And I showed you data before. I mean, that was one of the biggest things was
Yeah,
we
show me your
hired a
data,
lot of,
baby.
yeah. I know you and data in your damn spreadsheet.
Give me those
But I
graphs.
but I remember, I mean, that was the biggest thing that drove our content was human behavior and the data collected from what they clicked on and what they like the whole notion of these groups,
Yeah,
survey groups, right? They're useless. The best survey groups are online and what data you collect from testing content and testing certain narratives and see how that reflected. So really, that's like you said, the technological um, um,
Well, surveys are
advancement,
worthless.
right? I mean,
Surveys
it's
are,
really
no one answers surveys honestly. You send me a
yeah,
survey, I'm going to answer the way I think you want me to answer, or that I think will impress you when you read my anonymous response.
Well,
yeah.
You
Willie,
can't,
It's
you
not just
can't hide what
it's
you
not just
click on.
politics either. Yeah, I mean now
Yeah.
yeah.
companies are utilizing that, and unfortunately some bad actors are utilizing that. But anything with technology, right? You have the good people that use it for the good, but you have bad people that use it for the bad, and unfortunately the trickle down effect is affecting everyone.
Well, I
Um,
mean, you guys are right about like surveys and just all that in regards to like how it that AI and software can like just pick up certain trends. But I mean, I don't know if viewers know this, but also it does a whole lot more than that. There's predictive technology that looks at like variability or typing patterns. Like for example,
Yeah.
they can tell when, let's say, a person is bipolar based on their typing patterns, where it's like a slower speed, faster speed with more errors in it, things like that, because it tracks with their manic and like hypomanic and depressive
Yeah.
episodes, things like that. And so, yeah, there's things like that. I don't want to say it should scare people, but I mean, technology can do way more than people think.
Yeah.
Like you guys
Well, that's
said,
what the capture things are about. You click all the
yeah,
stoplight. That's not you're not training an image rec. The thing behind it, the code behind it is saying how slowly can you identify, how much do you suck at picking things out, because that's what identifies you as human and not a
mhm.
bot. That's kind of terrifying.
Man,
mhm.
it gets me then when it's one of those like, yeah, hit all the traffic lights, and then like one box has like a corner, and I was like, shit, really?
Yeah,
Maybe that's the
and
test. I don't know.
all this is going to continue to get more advanced with artificial intelligence, right? I mean, I think we're just
Yeah.
seeing the cusp of
Yeah,
it. Um,
yeah,
but no, it's interesting, Brian, from your expertise standpoint. I feel that the reason why social media is the way it is that we're transforming ourselves as humans into this digital world now, right?
oh yeah,
Into the digital world, virtual world.
Mhm.
And do you feel that a lot of, I mean, the positives are there. We know what the positives are, right? The
yeah.
negatives, do you feel like men's voices are not being heard? Is that why they're utilizing social media in many ways? Is that why, like, I feel like humans in general, we all want to be heard.
Yeah.
So do you feel that social media has been an echo chamber to try to get people to be noticed?
Yes, and it's definitely going to get worse before it gets any better, because what happens if back in the day, you're not feeling heard, so you yell and yell, but then the guy next to you yells louder than you. Then now you got to get a megaphone, right? And then it just one ups, and then soon it's not even about the message, because it turns out what you had to say is of minimal importance at best. It's just you had to get it out there. You had to be first or whatever. And right
Yeah.
now, yeah, I think social media has this sort of one-upsmanship effect, but it's not born, I don't think, from actual confidence. It's almost more like you have this need to impress like others, when real strong mental health values would be like you do something for your own happiness. You know what I mean? It has this other, I think it's called, what's a word I'm looking for? Eudemic, I believe is the word, effect, where it's
Mhm.
for your own self good, your own wellness, right? But now it's more, you want to show off this sort of hedonistic lifestyle, right? Like it's not enough to just post a picture of you and your dog. Some people got to post, well, this is me and my dog jumping out of a fucking plane, right? It has to be something crazy,
With an
because you're like,
umbrella. Yeah, man.
yeah, with an umbrella, yeah, right? Like, because you're like, damn, well, my neighbor just put one and he got like more likes than me. I got to upstage them, right? And there's this, and that's unfortunate, because it's a sign of men that are not happy with their life. At best, you could say they're content, but as you guys know, content doesn't get you promoted, right? Content doesn't
Mhm.
get you a raise. You got to be better. But then they feel like, well, the only way for me to be better is to get this validation from people I don't even know, quite frankly. but I woke up with 1,000 more likes than I had yesterday. And listen, sometimes it could be good, right? Like, look, if you're starting a business, that's great because you want engagement. But if it's just like your own, you're just a private citizen, you're just doing something. Yeah, you want more people to like you, and that has a very addicting effect, just like any drug. So yeah, there's definitely some concern.
Do you feel social media is a drug?
By definition, I think you could definitely make that argument because no one's putting a gun to your head making you use it, right? But sometimes life could sure be fulfilling, right? Especially like, can you imagine you take someone from the 80s and then you just give them a cell phone or a computer, and now they're like, I had to freaking go on Encyclopedia Britannica to find all this stuff. But they're going to look at the informative stuff, and then they're going to be like, wait a minute, what's this hub of porn that I can go to and it's free? Right. We used to call television, we used to call it the boob tube, but now it's something totally different, right?
Oh my God, you remember like
the between Playboy channels, so like 2 frames of
exactly
boob.
It's like the fuzzy screen, there's like Cinemax, right?
Screen.
Yeah.
You had to use your imagination back in the day, damn it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Who knows what she looks like? She looks like Tron. Who cares?
Oh man. But yeah, it's the ease of accessibility, and it has a very addictive effect because you could be broke, but you could go to leech Wi-Fi off any Starbucks. You know what I mean? It's not particularly hard. Go to the library, and so you can get it. But then the problem is you're going to want more of it. See, and then like drug dealers, what do? Like they give you the first hit for free, right? And then they charge you. Well, you want the good stuff. That like they'll charge you for more and more access, and so people are going to do it, and unfortunately, they're going to do it at the cost of their own productivity in some ways, their own actual engagement with friends. They're going to cancel more appointments to hang out with friends because maybe now they're broke because they put more money into some of these other social things that require a subscription, maybe. So let's say you guys have a guys' night out, you go shoot pool, but then you notice like Bob over there, he's not going anymore. And then you find out, oh yeah, he just comes home all day, puts on his VR headset or whatever, and we never hear from him. But
he's her only fan.
Yeah, it could be problematic, but like you said, Vin, like you mentioned, like with the political engagement, social media. Look, if for everything that started off, that it had a great design, great, it could have benefited, and it did benefit a lot of people. It could be used in negative ways, right? Isn't that like the whole pharmaceutical company? Like there's always something that starts off, it's going to save lives, and then unfortunately people kind of mess it all up.
Right. No, for sure. It's always fascinating to me. And now you walk around the streets and everyone's taking selfies, or they pause a great moment and they want to film it or take a photo of the moment instead of actually being in the moment with that. And now from a men versus woman standpoint, do you feel as who's more negatively affected? Do you believe?
That is a hard question because I think they're both negatively affected, but for completely different reasons. I think I'll be brief, but like men get affected.
Take your damn time, man. Look, we want our listeners to be well informed here.
See, men are affected because it sets up a very unrealistic expectation of them. I mean, this is true even without social media, in fairness. I've gone over how men have to be everything that their fathers and grandfathers were, and then some. But now you add on, and that's just in a realistic setting. That's just based on the sexual revolution and all that. But imagine now you have to be more based on false pretenses. You have to be more based on things that don't exist, things that are on social media that aren't real, right? Like we see vignettes that are clearly staged, but some people think they're real. And then men have to live up to those standards, see? And so I think that's where men suffer from. I think women suffer from also like a unrealistic standard, but unfortunately, it's one that they've kind of they painted themselves into a corner with like filters, with just like this idea of this is who I am, but that's not really who they are. You're right. And so men will go meet a woman for a first date if they still do that kind of thing these days. And then they're just like, you don't look anything like the picture, because it's one thing to wear makeup and that can completely make a woman look different. I mean, for better or worse. But a filter, it's like almost unrecognizable. I remember a couple of days ago, I sent you guys a, uh, a video of a woman who put on a lot of makeup and then a filter, and it's like it's a different person. That's someone from a different planet. But imagine being the guy that shows up with the one red rose first date. You're like, whoa, wow, right? Like I thought I was buying a Lamborghini, and you just gave me like a Ford Fiero, right? And
Hey,
so
they're both mid-engine, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think men are starting to do more of that as well. I mean, I've heard from dating wise, right?
Really
Luckily, luckily I think I found the one, but she was telling me when um when she was dating, and her friends are the same way. These men that say they'll be 6'1", but she shows up, they're like 5'9", 5'10",
Oh,
or they look a certain way, but when we go in person, they actually don't look like that. And
interesting.
they may be more broad shoulders or have more abs, but really in reality, they actually don't look like that.
Yeah.
So I think men are starting to do it more as well, which I find fascinating that that men are doing that now,
That is so
instead of just being
interesting.
honest.
I
Yeah.
always I always knew.
You can get away with that. Like if
Was
if
that
you're
Willie?
5'9", you know you're 5'9". If someone says they're 6'1", like you don't need a tape measure. You can kind of look like, okay, well they say they're 6'1", but I'm 5'9". I'm looking at them in the eye.
Yeah,
Like
but
how
camera
stupid do you
angles
have
now,
to
man.
be? Yeah,
I
but
mean,
how stupid do
camera
you have to be to
angles
think
and
somebody will fall for that?
yeah, but camera angles. I mean, camera angles are important, right? I mean, you can't really tell sometimes
Welcome to
with
our
the way they
first
take
date.
photos.
I will be 6'1" as long as you stay seated.
Yeah,
Crisscross
well,
applesauce. Look up at me.
well. See, the thing with that though, Vin, is and I'm not excusing men from doing that. It's just that men have always done that as long as Hollywood's been around. They've always lied about their heights. That's why there's so few actors that are actually as tall as they say, right? Like back in the day, what is it? Everybody would like what is it? Alan Ladd was like what 5'4" or something like that.
yeah.
And then you have like John Wayne, who actually was as tall as he said, right? But then some dudes like, I mean, like look, I'm one of those guys who used to think Vin Diesel was actually really tall, and then I found out that I'm actually taller than him. He just wears really huge elevator shoes, but the studios would kind of help you with that charade, right? I think with the average guy, yeah, you can't really do that. Listen, you can wear Air Force Ones, but that only makes you an inch taller. But so I mean, they've always kind of done that, and so I mean, but if they're using filters or something that some more artificial like that, like with technology, I haven't heard of that. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, I suppose, if guys did it. It's just that I have to imagine men do it less frequently because deep down, evolution has taught us that a woman will forgive a shorter man, a less attractive man, if he's got a tall wallet.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
and that's the thing with social media. Before we get to AI and everything, with social media, do you feel that's also affecting men's mental health? Because when you scroll through
yeah,
Instagram or TikTok and all that now these days, and men, we're naturally competitive, right? And we
yep,
want to provide, we want to protect. But when you go on Instagram and TikTok, there's a lot of expectations. I mean, you see guys that are out there with private jets, they're on yachts, or they're shopping high end, or they're with their girlfriend or fiance or wife, and they're living this lavish lifestyle. But their wives also amplify that, or the
yes,
girlfriends amplify that. And there's certain guys that are just like perfect or whatnot, and they're love bugs or all this, and then stuff like that goes viral, right? Or they're really
yes,
attractive, but not everyone is like that, right? Whether
right,
it's attractive with a six pack or with a wallet, that you said that's really tall. And I feel that the more people, and this is for both sides, right? Because women see it too, but focusing here on men, I feel like that's deteriorating men's mental health because, and some people consume it differently, right?
Yes.
I'm very competitive. Also, I don't give a fuck what other people do. I mean, I'm doing me, but I'm also competitive, right? If I see a guy with 10 mil, I want to double what the hell he has.
Yeah.
Or he has a G6. I'm getting a fucking G7. But not everyone consumes it that way. Nor am I on social media that much, to be frank.
Yeah.
I'm usually just on there to tweet my opinions about politics and financial markets, or calling out dumbasses like the CEO of a firm who is doing a buy now pay later schemes. They're going to crash the damn economy. He can go fuck himself. Or just to share memes with friends, right? Funny memes or inspirational stuff. But do you feel, and this is for both of you, Willie and Brian, I mean, do you guys feel that they're the same thoughts I have? Because I'll see some of these posts, but again, someone like me, I really don't give a shit. But I feel like there's a lot of people that do, right? Who are not as self-confident, or they're not, or they're going through a phase of their life and they're seeing all this and they have all these expectations. It could be overwhelming, right? In addition to your own life, right? I mean, everyday
Absolutely.
life is already consuming as it is, paying the bills. You have a career, or you're building a company, or you're with a girlfriend now. It's like, hey, am I enough for her? So this obviously is going to be a long part of this conversation, but I feel like this is really important to hammer on. Is this a problem? Because I think it is, and also how can men solve this? How can they get themselves out of these rabbit holes of these expectations?
Well, you bring up very good points, but you all the example you gave of yourself of being naturally competitive, and instead of being envious, be thinking, how do I eclipse that? How do I become better? How do I get the skill set, the innovation to do better than even that? Because what you're doing is you see it, and instead of getting envy and jealousy, you have a benchmark you want to eclipse, right? That is the natural evolutionary progression of man. Everything else serves to be a distraction from life reminding you of that. And that's the key to it. The reality of it is, do I think it's good or bad? I think honestly, it's neither, depending on whether you're a real innovative and like a real go-getter of a man, or if you're one of those guys that is just kind of lets life pass you by and you haven't quite made your mark, right? Because here's the thing: if you're a naturally competitive individual, then like you gave the example of, it's going to fuel you even more. Again, I think sports sets young men up for that kind of thing. It's like, right? Like if you're a running back and you hear the crosstown rival hit 3 touchdowns in one game, you're going to be the Al Bundy. You're going to score 4 in one game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're going to do everything you can within your ability. But the beauty of it is, let's say you don't get the 4 touchdowns. The point is, you probably end up playing one of the best games you ever played. The people in attendance remember, you're going to remember, and you're going to remember, I worked so damn hard for that. And so it's hard to categorize that as a loss. It's just it's just one big training exercise, but you're trying, versus the one who's like, man, I can't do no 3 touchdowns. Look at my offensive line. They can't block, right? No, that's what that's what someone on the sideline would say. That's what like the second or third stringer would say, maybe, right? But no, then you have the other side where you're the guys who are like, oh my God, I wish I had that. Must be nice, right? And then
those are 3 fucking words that drive me insane. I hate when people say that.
Yeah, the mating call of the meek. I had to throw that in, guys. Sorry.
I like that.
Now Vin is triggered.
Yes.
But right,
well,
you're gonna have
thing. Just real quick, like, must be nice. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like, yes, you may see some of my posts, or you may see I have this, or the Porsche, or whatever, or I've done this, I've been on here, but it's like, you know how much fucking work it took and the sacrifices.
But it's I missed an opportunity to be an asshole, Vin. Must be nice. Like, yeah, you know what? It is nice. You should try it sometime.
Yeah, it's people don't realize the work it takes into it, right? And the sacrifices. I mean, missing, close friends' weddings. I missed your wedding, Willie, and I felt so bad. But I missed your wedding because I had to be in London for a really important meeting, a board meeting that really kind of changed a lot of things for us in a good way. I mean, it was a major client who was now maybe become an investor. So it's a big deal. But people don't see the sacrifices, and I think social media has kind of deteriorated that in many ways. But also, I think it kind of helps because some people document the sacrifices they went through.
Yes.
So Brian, I think you bring up a good point. It's neither, but I feel that it does amplify, like you said, the types of men that are out there and how they can be. If anything, people should change their mindset and use it as motivation.
It's a big test, and and I'll give an analogy. And Willie, I'm sure you can chime in on this one because it's near and dear to your heart too. It isn't bad or good in the sense that, like, is a fast car good or bad? If you put it in the hands of a guy who wants to learn good driving skills and all that, it could be great. It could be good for his confidence because he's going to take it on a track. He's going to do whatever. It needs to be really great. Might even be an amateur club racer at one point. And then, but you put it in the hands of some muppet, and they're going to wrap it around like a light post, but not actually know what they did wrong. That could be very bad. And in fact, it could be bad for society if you put someone like that behind the wheel. So is it bad? Is it good? It could be both. But does it have the capacity to be good? Yes, because like you said, Vin, like if a person like yourself, for example, documented his journey, but included like the hard times, the hours lost, doing fun things, going to events, like you said, getting enough sleep, and then they show the reward.
What is sleep?
Right? But see, that could be a great thing. That could be a good thing because potential entrepreneurs and men of purpose could be like, wow, this shit is really hard. And you know what? It might actually do good, but not the way you think. It might tell them, I don't think I have what it takes for this. However, my 9 to 5 wasn't that bad now that I think about it. You know what? My salary wasn't as bad, but you know what? It gave me perspective. And now I want to aim to be like a supervisor in there. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? How many times you and I and Willie, we defend blue collar jobs, tech jobs, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Trade jobs. And so,
I've told people multiple times, the richest folks I've ever known in my life are the ones that are home at 6 p.m. every day to feed the dog and play with the kids.
Yeah.
And so much value. I call it value in banality. Right, it's the simple things that you don't appreciate until you don't have them.
Yeah,
and I think, I think a lot of the social stuff does a great disservice because it doesn't make it look easy. Like, honestly, if you think you can just put on a bikini or a banana hammock and go take a couple photos and become a multi-billionaire on Instagram, I think you have much deeper seated problems than your vanity, because that's just not how business works. You have to put effort into it. But I also think it could be a benefit. Like Vince says, it gives you something to aim for. Like, okay, watches. Okay, I'm an engineer. I love really well-designed stuff. I can't hold a candle to Brian's knowledge about watches, but it's also very informative when, you send a link. It's like, oh, well, that's a really nice watch. And okay, it's only 50 grand. Yeah, okay, only in the biggest air quotes possible. But it gives you a target. It's like, oh, okay, I want a $50,000 watch. What can I do to graduate from my $20 Adventure Time, wrist strap to get there? At least if you have a data point, you can make a plan. It's like, okay, maybe I won't get that watch until I'm in my 70s. Well, so what? You got it. That's the point. You saw an objective, you made a plan, and you took action, and more importantly, you were consistent over time. And then it doesn't matter if it doesn't have value to anyone else. It has value to you because you know what you went through to get it. And as far as the fast car thing, I'm laughing to myself because one of the most brutal driving courses I ever took, you think like, oh my God, brutal driving course. It must be a F-Zero car that pulls 80 G's. No, it was I think it was Skip Barber. Has a defensive driving course with like 1992 era Mustangs, like the really shitty model, but he has little casters on each corner and at the will of the instructor, cast like what you see on a pallet jack or something, right? At the will of the instructor, those things will pop up, and you'll instantly lose traction in one or more wheels. And the whole point of that is, how do you learn how to control something really, really basic? Because the difference is between the $10,000 Econo shitbox and the $30 million F1 car. The basics don't change. The reaction time and the skill level absolutely does, but it's the discipline and it's the recognition and the awareness, the situational awareness that you always have to have. So I mean, I think if people just look at social and like, oh God, I wish I looked like that guy. It must be nice. Well, are you doing anything about it? No. Well, then
Right.
shut up. Yeah.
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 I wish my girlfriend looked like that girl on Instagram. Well, that girl on Instagram doesn't want you either, because you're not doing anything in life.
I feel like men's behavior has changed because of social media. In my opinion, in for better or for worse, the better is the competitive side, right?
Yes. Agreed.
Is the wow, I want that life. And if anything, it's more of a motivational thing on a daily basis, right? Or in the moments where you're in the long dragged out meeting and some dumbass keeps talking, but you obviously can't say anything. But you scroll through Instagram or something like that, and you see, wow, an image of a man with a beautiful wife, great kids, in a big house, and some motivational thing. Or you see that, if anything, that motivates you. But at the same time, there are probably guys in their grandma's basements with their drawers on, being keyboard warriors, and just causing havoc for no fucking reason. And I feel like that's
man.
Yeah, and I feel like that's also amplified as well. But also, I feel as men are becoming less men at the same time too. Or am I out of line here? And that is actually more balanced, because I feel as if interacting with other men, outside of you guys and a few others, I feel like it's a bit different now, in many ways. Less, less. How do I say this? Less gentlemen, or intellectual conversations, right? Instead of all these fucking gimmicky shit, or whatnot. You can hold this legitimate conversations anymore, or have enlightening conversations. I feel that there's just a lot of emptiness sometimes when you are meeting others.
Yeah, there's definitely a superficial element for sure to the conversations with plenty of men today, because we take things in small sound bites. Now, granted, I don't want to say that's in and of itself new. It's just that this kind of information, like fast information, is able to be sent to the masses much quicker and much more easily back in the day. Willie, I think made a comment in a prior episode about like downloading music, right? It's like back in the day, you had to wait the whole day for a CD.
On demand on LimeWire.
LimeWire. There's another one, kids. Look in the 90s
LimeWire
museum.
was the GOAT.
But now you get so much information, but what's the trade-off? Some of it is disinformation, or at the very least, very ideologically motivated. So it's maybe not false, but it's definitely got a slant to it, right? And so it's really up to the person to decide, is this useful to me or what? And then sometimes I think certain ideologies, they know that, and so they're like, well, they're not going to, this person, we can't swing them on just our ideology. Let's get someone really famous and influential to say it. I'll listen to them, right? I mean, let's just be real. There's certain celebrities where, based on their name alone, people are going to listen and follow them. I mean, it's always been like that. Let's be real. Like back in the day, there were idols and all that too. It's just that they couldn't reach the masses the same way, right? I mean, we used to like look at sports athletes today, right? They're very influential, but I mean, I come from a time when like guys, like the freaking sports, like basketball games were on tape delay, right? And so there's that funny line. There's that funny line in Air, that the Nike movie, Michael Jordan, where they said like Ben Affleck's like, basketball is the past. He's like, no, it's literally the past, and like the finals has already happened before it's on TV. And so so that kind of information, it comes to you now so easily. And if I'll go off the for the example you gave, the extreme of like the young troll who lives in his grandma's basement. I'll profile that person. That person is a single male, big shocker. Doesn't have a lot of friends. Probably was diagnosed with some mental illness as a child, and then now is 18 years old, barely graduated high school, never carved out any meaning for himself, never went to a career counselor, probably didn't even take the SATs, so never had a whole lot of potential, right? But behind the keyboard, behind a monitor, does anybody actually know that? Right? If you go to college, it's scary because people can figure you out. If you're not cool in college, they're going to infer that you were not cool in high school. That is scary, right? Like, guys, like how many times, just from both of your experience, you maybe like you were going to go in a meeting with someone and you maybe looked at the resume and you're like, damn, very impressive, right? And maybe you met them over Zoom and you're just like, hey, they're well spoken, right? In a controlled environment. You meet them in real life, you're just like, this guy's a disappointment.
Right? All the fucking time.
Right? There we go. And so now you see the actual insecurities of such a person who trolls people online. It's like, can you imagine if every one of those people were outed, right, for who they really were? Then you know what? It's a good thing that this month is Men's Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, because that's where they're going to probably be headed.
Oh my God.
And I don't mean that to be fucked up. It's just men's like that. Their mental health. I hate to say this, but it's like it's resting on this fine, like this little wire that's easy to snap, right? And reality is the thing that can really make it snap. So they have to live in this false reality they fabricate for themselves, right? And again, I'm not saying this to mock such men. I want guys like that to do better. I want them
so how
to
can
consume.
they help themselves?
So this is where it gets hard, Vin, because I'll give you guys an example. I'm not just saying this because I'm on this podcast with you guys, but like, guys, I've referred a lot of people to your Finex podcast, okay? Because I tell people you have, because they ask a lot of people, like especially you guys know during the pandemic. Well, that's when I really was pushing your podcast, because I've never seen so many Robinhood accounts pop up, right? Everybody tries to be like,
oh God,
everybody's trying to be like the Oracle of Omaha, right? And it's like, but like they're
meanwhile,
just buying
the Oracle of a dumpster fire.
that's what it is, dude. And I just said, look, you got to go to people who've done it and have real world experience, but they're not like selling you like this idea. Like, oh, subscribe to my page and do this, because I was like, if you go, because they'll come to me and say, oh, I went on YouTube and there are these influencers, they're all telling me to buy this one stock, and I was like, yeah, there's a reason for that though, right? It's like, do you not notice a pattern? It's like, I know you guys can't read balance sheets, because like and I don't say that as an insult. It's just most people cannot, right? Those are the stuff like you guys read balance sheet, like regular people read fortune cookies and shit, right? But I'm like, you don't know anything about this company except see, you don't know anything about these companies. Why are you just listening to some finance bro? But then they ask about crypto, and I know that talk about triggering with you guys. You see what I mean?
Crypto. Speaking of speaking of people,
so now you see what I mean.
In their grandma's basement with their drawers on.
Yeah, but but on the flip side of that, though, like so many of those people are just absolute slap asses. But yet you watch the Roaring Kitty videos, especially when GameStop was taking off, and he actually goes through the effort of explaining why he thinks the way he does. I mean, granted, watch that at like 0.5x speed, because the dude talks at light speed. But it's all, I would argue it's about what you want to do with it. And I think a lot of these people that end up in the basement trolls, I think they're presented with real information. They just choose to ignore it because the lie kind of reinforces their own delusion a little better. Like, I think you hit it right on the head. If you go to college and people are going to figure out that you're an idiot and you weren't cool in high school, it's terrifying. What's even more terrifying is how little time that actually takes to figure someone out.
Right. Yeah, that's always interesting. So really, social media, if anything, is really not because there's always perception that social media is horrible, and that it's completely shifted society, and it has. But if anything, all it's done is just amplify people's behaviors that's always been there, right? It's
Yeah.
always just so really all it's done is do that, right? It's amplify, it's help the people that have self motivation, they're competitive, and at the same time, it's amplified the trolls who've always been trolls. But how about for the people in between, right? There's everyday people that are in between,
Ah.
that tend to be lost. They have some of that drive, but they also kind of don't. But they're on social media and they use it for motivation sometimes, or they use it for um, for some bad things. I don't freaking know what they do. So those people in the middle, which is the majority of people,
Yep.
where do we see them, and what kind of advice can we give these men, right? Who are just going through the motions every day. And again, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you choose. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
But from a social media standpoint, before we get to AI, because AI is going to be a whole other thing. I
Yeah.
think it's going to amplify even further.
Oh yeah.
Those negatives. But from a
Yeah.
social media standpoint, how do you see it, gents?
Hey, listen, the demographic you're talking about are the ones I really, really like talking to, because I like presenting people with choices and potential outcomes. Because on the one end, then, like, I think, for example, I think we all represent the side of the argument that's like, we go on social media, we enjoy it, but we don't live by it. We use it to send funny memes to each other, right? We do things like
Yep.
that, but we don't craft our life and our personality by it. So people like that, they don't even need to hear us, to be honest, right? They're on their purpose. Men on their purpose don't need social media to distract them from making more money, closing more deals, shaking more hands, right? They're too busy for that. They don't respond to stupid comments on their page from trolls. They don't do that. So those people, guys like me, don't need to counsel them on stuff like that. They're on their purpose. They go to me for other things. Now, the people you're talking about, that they're very interesting because they just need a good direction. They just need someone to put the gas behind them and point them in the right direction. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's most of America, right? And they need to decide for themselves about who they want to be. Do they want to be someone that just watches on social media as things happen to other people? Or do they want to be someone who's going to be like the demographic we just laid out, the ones who make things happen for themselves and for other people? You want to be like a real influencer? Go influence things in real life, including yourself. Or do you want to be the influenced? See, and so in that sense, this whole thing, we've given examples of social media before social media and all that, and it's this idea that it can be bad, it could be good, but what it really brings out in the end, you guys, is the cream will rise to the top, right? Like evolution wise, the herd is going to be thinned. Okay, the people that are going to benefit from this are the very people that can be, they're distraction free. They're immune from it. You see, and isn't that really, if we cut down to the nitty gritty, that's just human evolution. There's always been something to distract us, right? But great men, right, arise from that. How many times? What do you think? Like in history, like they're gonna break open the history books and say like, oh yeah, that guy there, he was famous because he had a gazillion Twitter followers. No, they're gonna talk about what he did, right? Not
Right.
not like that kind of influence. That's just not gonna happen. Twitter or X, Instagram, all that, it's gonna be a footnote in history. Let's just be real about that. The same way MySpace was, and this isn't to criticize the company. It's just mankind will not be remembered, by our future alien overlords as like like the definition of what society was. It's still going to come down to, I'm going to shake your hand, we're going to close a deal and do great things. That's what
So
life
what
is
you're
going to be.
saying is there is no social media celebrity from a standpoint of just because of social media. It's if you are someone of purpose, of meaning, who's doing something, all social media does is just amplify your reach and it helps you spread the message, or people just want to follow you because you are someone that's meaningful, right? People for example, what you just said, whether you're an athlete, people want to follow you because they want to see your accomplishment and all that, or you're a business person. They want to learn more from you or see your everyday life. So you're somebody. Or if you're just an everyday person with a family, but people are curious because you have a cute family. They're curious to see what products you use, right? Or you're a new mom. So there's some kind of value you're adding to those followers, not just some random person.
Well, for some people, yeah. If you're using social media for your best benefit, then absolutely. Like, again, I'll use the pandemic as an example. Most of us were stuck at home, right? For the most part. That was a great time to learn basic skills. Like, for example, like I learned how to tie a necktie by watching YouTube tutorials where
Nice.
like you mirror it.
Nice.
So they do it. So it's like a mirror, makes it really easy. It's a minute long. It's not, doesn't need to be long, but that's great. That's why the internet was invented. That and animal videos. Right. And
Yeah.
so, but like, you got to make a decision for yourself. Like you talked, the word you used was bringing value, right? Does this bring value to me? There are certain YouTubers that I think is what's great is, and social media people, like they get this following, but yes, they use it for really, really great things to bring awareness to things. That's what they're going to get remembered for. Bringing happiness, bringing support to people who didn't have it, right? Championing certain causes where, regardless of your political leanings, you're just like, wow, that's really freaking great. Like, I don't think anyone, Republican or Democrat, is going to complain. For example, like that Hawktua girl, she does a lot of stuff for like animal shelters, animal rescues, and I'm just like, damn, I wanted to like diss this girl, but that's actually pretty cool. Because she's just like, I don't need all that money. I live with my grandma. I'm a small town person, and actually, the funny thing is, I find more women hate on her than dudes. But she's like, I'm just gonna use my platform to do good stuff. This is just what I would do. This is what I do when I'm poor, right? And I was like, that's pretty cool because yes, she's become greater than the platform, and she brings awareness, and that's great. But yeah, people, of course, they have that reach through social media. But like I said, men that are on their purpose, they're going to filter out, oh, that's like this Finex podcast. That's kind of useful. Let me listen to that. All this other shit with like freaking fancy graphics of like, freaking crypto monkeys and all that. That doesn't really sound that intriguing to me. I'm going to skip that.
Over leveraging for multiple homes, and so all of a sudden you're a millionaire overnight because you have a bunch of real estate. Yeah.
Oh, they better learn what a margin call means.
Exactly.
I love the 0-day option pushers. I call them pushers. You can't call them traders or investors. They are drug dealers. I can't wait for some of those people to get their asses handed to them.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But that's what's great. Like, you know what? It's a free market. We live in a free country for the time being. If you want to be stupid, be my guest. You're gonna pay the price one way or the other.
Yeah. So really, the conclusion of this part, it's really social media isn't really bad, and necessarily kind of as a drug. I mean, I know there's people that are addicted to it just because it's a lot of content to consume, and we all like content. But really, it's really just a tool, and men just need to get their shit together, really. Right?
Yeah.
Because again, I admit I can't relate to a lot of people in this aspect, or a lot of other men. So I'm trying to be compassionate here, or empathetic, whatever people want me to be. I don't know.
It's a noble effort, Vin.
It's a noble
effort.
But really, social media, all it is just, it depends on the person, right? Is what you're saying, Brian. And for our listeners listening in, you have a choice, and you just need to make a decision on what you use it for, and how you turn it into your own life. It's more complementary instead of being controlling of your life, right? Is that pretty much where you're saying?
I mean, yeah, Vin, it's definitely exactly, and it's definitely the word you use, control. I think that's big. People that see me for sessions know that's a big deal. This internal locus of control. Take control of what content you're taking in. Take control of whether you think it's dog shit or if it's actually good, right? And sometimes you're gonna watch some content that you think is actually on the level at first, then you determine later, damn man, this is no. They led me this way, but now they're trying to like get me to buy more stuff. It's like a pyramid scheme, right, or something. But then you know what?
Yeah.
It's okay as long as you recognize when something is not good for you anymore, brings no value to your life. You got to kick it out, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, you gotta be able to make that determination and be able to take control, but also take control means turning your phone off sometimes.
Thank you. Men, get your shit together. Actually be there with your family. Be there with your loved one. Get your fucking work done. And social media is just something to kind of give you a little motivation or to express your opinions on something that matters, right? If need be. But you shouldn't let it dictate your life, right?
Let me,
And I feel like
yes.
this is so important because I hear all the time from female friends who are struggling to date because a lot of the men they're dating don't really have a purpose in life or they don't have a vision for their relationship or whatnot, right? Or you see it when you go out to eat, you see it sometimes. I mean, it's okay the little moments where you do check your phone and see what's going on, but there's couples that don't even talk, and they're on their phones or scrolling or whatnot, and
They're
that
called
pisses me the hell off.
they're called married couples, Vin.
Oh, okay.
I'm just
Got it.
kidding. I'm kidding for all the married people. Don't make me have to write a letter to the APA.
Yeah. But I feel like that's one of the biggest things and why we want to do this episode, right? Is just to give men a message here,
Yes.
which is you need to be men, right? You need to be providers, protectors, and be present. And we men, we have that internal control to be able to do that, right? Get shit done first, be present, and then there's some moments where, yeah, if you're on the train or something, or you're on the shitter or whatnot, okay, scroll through social media, see what's going on, right, or whatnot.
Yeah.
But other than that,
Can I just
yeah,
give Can I just give a based on what you're saying? Can I give a little advice, a little free advice to some of the single men
Free
out there?
advices.
advices,
Advices. Listen,
advices, and spices.
you know, listen, man. If you're on a date with a woman, right, and you have your phone out, put it in your damn pocket. Don't answer it. Okay. You don't have to put it on silent or anything. Just don't answer it. And I know a lot of guys are going to push back and say something like, "Well, I want her to know that I'm a guy in demand. People are trying to reach me." Let me just tell you this: you're not fooling anybody because she ain't going to give a shit. You know what makes a bigger impact is when it rings and you don't answer it, and she tells you, "Well, aren't you going to answer your phone?" Just say one line. They'll call back. That makes you more important of a man than picking the phone 5 times because one, it's showing you are important, and two, given how important you are, you're giving her that time that's reserved just for her. And so guys, stop trying to impress her by having like all these calls, these tweets and all that. Just put the damn phone away and just say, they'll call me back. They'll call back. That's it. So sorry, I just had to give that PSA for the men out there. You're welcome.
Yeah, and the advice I give is get your fucking work done before you scroll on social media, all right? Because you have more time if you get work done. And I feel like productivity is so important, right, in today's world. Like, just get stuff done. Or pursue your dreams or pursue something on the side instead of scrolling. And I hate seeing that. I mean, I've seen people, they're not friends, they're acquaintances, I guess, right? And, they have a day job they don't like or whatnot. And sorts like that. But they do have some drive in them. But then I see them scrolling all the time. It's like, well, why don't you lay out a plan, or why don't you start pursuing that side job that could become your career,
Yeah.
or your new business or whatnot, right? So I think for you men, not only do you put your phone away when you're on a date, who could become your potential fiance or wife, and build that human connection, or your group of friends, right? Your tribe. Put that phone away. Talk to your tribe, right? Have meaningful conversations because it can help you. Talk about your ideas and whatnot. But also with work or with life in general, put that fucking phone away and start hashing out details and or start learning. If anything, if you use your phone, use it to learn and start pursuing that. And I think men will be a lot happier instead of dragging their ass around, looking like a bunch of bitches. Uh, uh, I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And the viewers know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you guys see that, or you have that friend, like the friend you guys tell me about. I tried hard
Not,
enough, I
not my friend.
could,
No, don't
or
throw
not
the
friend, but
important.
acquaintance, right? If I tried harder, I could. Those fucking people
I
drive me
can be an
nuts.
entrepreneur if I tried.
I,
You're a entrepreneur. You're not even that. You're a entrepreneur.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like Vin. Imagine all those people. Hey, I'm good at Madden. I could have played football, right?
Oh,
Oh,
shut the fuck. Oh my god. That dri-
Hey, Willie,
that's what we were talking
triggered was the right word today.
Oh my god. Or was like, oh,
about.
I
That's what
could be
we're
a
talking
coach because I
about.
know the fucking plays.
The
Yeah.
keyboard warriors are as brave as soldiers on Call of Duty.
We're hitting,
Yeah,
we're hitting,
exactly.
we're hitting Vin with all his triggers today.
Oh my
Crypto, the must be nice, the keyboard warriors. Oh man,
Instagram
people,
models.
people. I tell you. But no, I totally agree with you guys. It's social media is really not um, it's really not negative. It's really the people themselves. Humans
yeah,
have to control themselves, like what we just said. But now transitioning into the hot topic of everything, artificial intelligence. And listeners, we're not talking about Nvidia's fucking stock. Okay, chill the hell out. We're
Everyone
talking
knows when you
about
sit in the bathroom and you say AI 3 times into the mirror, Jensen Wang will show up and give you an Nvidia share.
the biggest celebrity in the world right now, right?
Pretty much.
No, I mean artificial intelligence and advancements in technology in general. I think this is a really good topic to hit on. And men's mental health is these advancements in technology, not social media, but technology itself. I think this is really important to discuss and for our listeners to understand, and hopefully they take something out of it, out of this conversation on how they need to also look in the mirror and make sure they be careful of not being sucked into this, right? And everything in life is about balance. We're not saying don't use AI. We're not saying don't do this and do that. It's just balance it out, right? It's like ChatGPT. I think it's a great tool, but it's not going to do everything. It's not going to write everything for me. It's not going to answer everything for me. If anything, it's just going to help complement things that you do to make things more efficient. So where do you want to start here, Brian? I know we the three of us talked about a lot of fine points here about what we want to talk about, but where do you want to kick off here with advancements of artificial intelligence or just tech in general? Because I know I want to talk about robots and sex bots and all that, and to me that's fucking hilarious.
yeah.
But where do you want to
16-year-old
start
me
with?
definitely wants to talk about sex bots.
well, a couple things just to start off. I have to admit, in my with some of my colleagues, I remember maybe 2 years ago, there was a list that was released of like jobs that were like AI safe, like you weren't going to be affected at all, right? And then I had that was one of the big I told you so's to a lot of my colleagues because like mental health, we're good, we're safe because there's a lot of stuff that AI can't do that we do. They can. It's like you said about Chat GPT. It's yeah, it's very useful, but that's just what it is. It's useful. It's just a bunch of information being processed to you, but it can't do the personalized stuff, right? Like it can never simulate a therapist, at least I don't think in my lifetime, because it doesn't
Or a
add.
financial planner.
Yeah, oh god, yeah, no, don't even. Yeah, I know, because those robo investors became a thing, right? And I was like, oh, that's a bad
Mm-hmm.
idea.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
Acorn, like Robin
because
Hood app.
people need to know whether it's for finance or for mental health, an AI algorithm and all that, it doesn't have a particularly varied skill set that an individual investor or therapist would have. It doesn't have what I would consider a nuanced awareness, right? It would say, "Oh, you look sad. Here's a tissue." Where I think of that scene of RoboCop where it's like he saves that rape victim, and she's like, "Oh my God, you saved my life." He's like, "You've just experienced a traumatic event. I'm contacting the local rape center." But that's his bedside manner, right? But that's what I mean. It's just it can't simulate it, and so that's it. That's just more of my message to my fellow therapists that are listening. Like, you're good. Don't worry. Just be good at your fucking job. But anyway, so look, the psychology field. There's really six ethical areas that are of concern. I'm not going to cover them all, but I'll just go through them. As I have oversight, responsible design, privacy, design and evaluation framework, human AI interactions, and human well-being. Now, the human well-being part is the one that, from a profession standpoint, I think is important. Obviously, privacy is really, really important. I mean, we're talking about like health information. You know, you got to protect that. But like the human well-being part, I think is an area that it's going to be interesting what they consider to be well-being, because is it that hedonistic side of people who we want to reward ourselves for good behavior by going on vacation, buying nice things, you know, giving ourselves that dopamine hit, so to speak? Or is it going to be like that more self-actualized philosophical sense of well-being, right? Like you found yourself. Maybe like your crisis is a crisis of purpose, right? A existential crisis, and that's what you want to consider human well-being. Neither is wrong, though. See, and so what is going to be the programming? What is going to be the definition of human well-being? And so that's a clash in and of itself. And so yeah, and some of the other ones, like I said, are big, but they're kind of outside of my wheelhouse, to be honest. Like the oversight part, the framework. I'm not an engineer. I don't know any of that stuff, you know. But and so yeah, my concern, big one, is the human well-being. What is it? Because you ask 100 people, it's 100 different answers.
Right. And speaking of human well-being, I know one of the biggest concerns that I've seen is the lack, with the growth of AI, right, is the lack of human to human interaction. Because I'm hearing and seeing these things about humans talking to computers as if they're a friend, right, instead of human interaction. That scares the fuck out of me. I'm like, really? How can you replace another human? And you're sitting there either on the shitter or your grandma's basement with your drawers on and having a live conversation with a robot, thinking that it's your friend and whatnot, and you have no other you don't have human interaction. That scares me, not only from a personal life standpoint and society standpoint, but also in business, right? I mean, you know, one of the greatest things of being an entrepreneur or being an effective entrepreneur or business person or anything skill set is your ability to have human skills. So, I mean, that to me is scary. And from a mental health standpoint, I think that's going to fuck things up.
Yeah. I mean, just the ability to engage, for example, I think is important. For example, Vin, you talked about social media and you were welcoming our listeners to offer up critique and questions if they have any, which I think definitely they should if they have any questions for the three of us could submit them. But that's the thing, you're submitting it to an actual team of three dudes. You're not. We don't have chat box, you know. We don't do that. We're not like these social media models that like they pretend they're going to interact with you, but it's probably a chat bot just talking back to you. But like, no,
bot.
What's that?
It's a pig butcher bot. Oh, it's the wrong number, but you look pretty.
Oh my god. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a part of it that is scary because I know, just to do research for this episode, there are like these dating bots or whatever, right? Like they're AI generated women. You kind of, based on whatever taste you have. It's like a Total Recall. But it's like blonde or brunette and all that, right? And then you pick their personality.
That's wild. I actually didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, it's. I think like most technological things, it started in Japan, but I think it was meant to be like Brian said, as a tool to help you be less of a dickwad, and actually be able to interact with another person. It wouldn't surprise me at all if it's completely, taking a hard left and is now trying to replace people, or for some people actually replacing relationships. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Wait, you said a hard left. Are we talking about Sexbots already?
Yep, it's more of a hard forward and back.
Good transition. Yeah, but Vin, it is hard because just for our listeners to know some raw data. Look, 60% of young men today are single, and actually, this is based on a study from a couple years ago. So it might actually be more now. So this is like under 30. whereas only
Mhm.
34% of young ladies are single. And so this is
Wow, that's
definitely
a huge gap.
that's a big gap. Yeah, yeah. So
Damn.
um, clearly there's a deficiency there in young men meeting women and entering into relationships. And so I think part of it, just from what I see, is I mean, it's a number of different factors, but like we talked about earlier about social media, like this expectation that's put on men, right? Men historically have always had the burden of performance, right? And I'm not just talking about in the bedroom, but there's that too. But like, you got to have money, you got to have resources, right? I mean, I don't think anybody can really argue that. Like, history doesn't remember the weak; it remembers strong, resourceful men. That's just how life goes. I'm sorry, but not really. But now you can't just be a man of resources. That helps a lot. But I always tell men that are looking into getting married, I always tell them, just remember, you got to do way more than your pops ever did. You know, back in the day, dad just paid the bills, came home, watched TV, had his dinner with the family, and went to bed. Right now, a husband's got to be a father. He's got to be a counselor to his wife sometimes when she wants to vent about things. Because remember, sometimes now women work too, whereas dad, they didn't have to deal with that, right? They have to have so many hats that they wear. And that is a lot of responsibility. And some of the young men, quite frankly, do not have the tool set. Not to say they can't get it, but it is scary.
I'll say get the damn tool sets.
Hey, if they listen to,
Kind of why they're listening to us.
that's right. You know, how do you get it? 3 words. Subscribe to this podcast. So that's 4 words. I was pulled I pulled a Charles Barkley. I was like, this is a word?
Dude, Charles Barkley. Big shout out. We love him.
We like Chuck.
See, that's fascinating to me though. 64% you said men are single.
63.
That's 63%. And was that an increase from before?
Yes.
A big spike from before?
Big spike. I don't know the exact numbers from before, but they weren't like that. They weren't that bad.
And how much of that
clearly
do you think this guy's giving up? Like,
well, again,
grandma's got a nice basement. I'll just fucking rot down here for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, is it the men's fault or is it the one or what the women's standards fault? Or, you know, because women also have been affected by certain image of what a relationship is like, or what men are, or is it both sides' fault?
So people are going to hate me for saying this, but it is both. You gotta bear some responsibility, and because some men today, they do have to try harder, right? Because and that scares a lot of guys. But if I can give an analogy, Asian men, okay, for example, if you look at like interracial dating, right, the majority of the couples is Asian girl and non-Asian man. That's the majority of it, right?
I guess I'm an outlier.
I was gonna say you and Bruce Lee, baby. And so you're in good company there, though. Other than the him being dead part, but like it was much less so though to see an Asian man with a non-Asian woman. Now I have no backing behind this. Although if someone wants to pay me to do a study, I'll happily take your money. But I think the problem for a lot of Asian men during this period of like the 70s on was if Asian women that came to the U.S. became way more empowered versus the country of origin. I think we can all agree on that. Like, human rights is not at the forefront in a lot of Asian countries, right? At least not like gender equity. But they come here, it's a different thing. So for all you people who hate America, you can't deny that women have more rights here. But then that more rights also means more choices, okay? And whereas Asian men, I think, by comparison, were they were slower to adapt because they just thought, well, mom and dad will just arrange for me to be married to a beautiful Asian girl and life will be good. And I just kind of do what my dad did. Yeah, that might have worked in the old country. That doesn't work here, you see? And so I think they were hit hard with that. They had to adapt. Now, I use that comparison because that's just one fragment of the male population, right? Now, imagine for men they have so many other areas in it that they have to be better at now. Everything we talked about earlier with social media, the standards, the unrealistic standards, and then there's the AI part where some of these men that we talked about that are just like have pretty much just given up. Maybe they'll be like, well, why do I need a woman that's going to have all these expectations of me when I could just log on to this AI dating app and she says all sorts of nice things about me. You
God,
know,
that's so lame.
she'll be like, "Oh, I love your dad bod. Oh, I love your minimum wage paying job." You know what I mean? It's like, I love your
Yeah.
lack of ambition, right? It's like they'll feel accepted there unconditionally. See, back in the day, you got a dog and that was enough because it loved you unconditionally, but you had to feed it, right? You got to feed it, walk it. But then these computer apps, you don't do anything but show up, right? You interact,
Right.
like you just type stuff in or whatever. But like,
So it's making men lazy.
very lazy, lack of ambition, and just scared of rejection, really. And I think that's a big one for a lot of dudes. But I always say with rejection, it's like, man, you better get used to it. And sometimes rejection is, if I don't know if people believe in God, but sometimes God like sets up rejections in a way that you realize later, man, he was looking out for me, because a girl that rejects you and then 5 years later you see how her life turned out, you're like, damn, wow, right? And please comment in the comment section, men, if you've encountered that, and I'm willing to wager you have, right?
Many times.
Right, right. And so I'm just saying, rejection does not have to be a bad thing. Let it be fuel in some ways, but also let it be this idea that maybe that was how it was supposed to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, but some men, they're just so scared of it. They're just like, no, I'm going to go to something where it never turns me down. I'm always perfect. And they probably actually view themselves as that. You talk about like this idea of like, Willie, you're joking earlier about like a filter with a bodybuilder physique. They probably feel like that when they're having these interactions without the filter, right? And so,
Yeah, but in the old days, I was just called a prostitute. Never to know you're perfect no matter what. Like, I think deep down inside, they know it's a lie. Like, we have this wonderful invention called a mirror. Occasionally, you look into it and like, well, she says I'm perfect, but my own two eyes, like, I can't even see the top of my own cock. Maybe there's something I should do about this. I think some of this has to be intentional self delusion, like
hey,
an act rejection of reality.
hey, some of these guys that are so entrenched in it, they'll probably tell you that, hey, that's nice and good, but no AI chatbot ever gave me the clap. I don't have to pay. I don't have to pay. I don't have to pay child support to know little AI chatbots along the way.
Right.
So,
but they also have to realize, I mean, you hit on privacy as one of the 6 ethical
yeah,
function areas. Like, what the hell do you think these companies are doing with all your deep dark secrets that you're vomiting into your phone and your little anime girlfriend?
mm-hmm.
Like, that shit's gonna get out. Like, I know that's paranoid, and everyone's gonna send me rolls of tinfoil.
Ask the people about Ashley Madison.
Yeah,
I knew it. I knew he was gonna say that.
That's an exact great point, and and we laugh about it, like, oh, the Chinese are secretly laughing at our jerk off fantasies and their bot farms, but no, like, look what happened with Ashley Madison. Look what happened more recently with National Public Data breach. Like,
Yep.
when you converge to a technological singularity, your risk when there's a breach, like your personal fallout risk, is astronomical. And it's like, yeah, okay, you can say, well, sure, 300 million people had their secret sex dreams leaked from the last breach of, like, real AI or whatever. That's fine, but that doesn't mean it's okay. That doesn't mean it should be okay for you when it's your secrets out there, and you can't just diffuse the catastrophe like, oh yeah, my deepest, darkest sex fantasies were leaked onto the internet. Yeah, it's okay. So was everyone else's. No, fuck that. That stays in here, that black hole where it's safe.
Yeah.
So So speaking of all this, Sexbots. I'm curious to know. Sexbots. What's going on with Sexbots? So not
Are
only
you looking to
are
buy?
yeah. Sexbots.com, right? Um
Don't
I'm
go
very
there. Don't
curious
give me
about
our
this.
website.
I'm just very curious about this because we talked about how men are now using these whatever anime fake women and having chats with them because they don't resist and all that, or they don't, they fear rejection because they're a bunch of weak ass men. But sex bots, like I saw somewhere this is now a growing industry, right? So you're willing to fuck a sex bot, but not enjoy a delicious, real, warm, luscious woman, right? With the
Jesus
smell of
Christ, are you
lavender and
cannibal?
Anyway, sorry. Why sex bots? Like what's
Because they
this
don't
thing
say
about a sex
no.
bot? Huh?
Because they don't say no, and you can customize them like a car. You know, I want
Wait, for real though?
I mean, not to be
Wait, let
too
me Google this
disgusting,
real quick.
but yeah,
I
well,
came into
so
this
it's
uninformed.
like the Joe Rogan clip that that we saw the episode with Dr. Deborah So. Well, actually, I looked up, like, she's freaking smart. Like, she has a list of accomplishments that I'm never gonna reach, primarily because I'm not in that field, and I never will be. But yeah, the amount of customization that you can do. By the way, if y'all in listener land are going to do this, turn on your VPN. Like, don't be stupid. But yeah, the amount of customization, voice, facial features. Let's just call it dynamic movements. It's everything. It's everything short of a pulse and back talk. Like
Holy
it's
shit! I just found the article.
yeah, it's
Next
kind
gen
of
sex box powered by AI are about to hit the shelves. Future models react with both movements and speech,
yeah.
significantly enhance the user experience by focusing on emotional connection.
Yeah,
Quotes.
that's the scary part, I think, is the emotional connection.
Brian, how
Like,
do you feel about this shit from the men's mental health stuff? I mean, to me, that's just really fucking weird. Again, I'm all about people's own. Like, look, that's why I love America. Every citizen has the right to make their own decisions, right? I don't tell you what to do with your body. You don't tell me what to do with my body. I don't care about your beliefs, my beliefs. We leave each other alone as long as we respect one another. Fine. But a sex bot, though, I'm like very fascinated about this.
So, I come from a time where all this was the product of a sort of dystopian Japanese anime fantasy, but now it's become a reality. So okay,
if that's the
this
same anime fantasy I'm thinking, I don't know if I was dystopian. It was kind of utopian.
We've
um,
gone from these.
Kind of utopic.
Yeah, so we've gone from these. What is it? The sex flashlights, whatever the hell they are, to now
Fleshlights.
sex bots. What the hell? What the hell?
well, that's what happens when you combine hardware with software, I guess.
Yeah.
But so wow, there's a lot to unpack here. Okay, so
Yeah,
I'll
it sounds
st-
like we got an actual sex box. You actually have to unpack it and then use it, right?
well,
Sorry, that was an easy one.
Where's the charging port?
well, I think you know where it's at. But well, can you imagine having to clean them though after? Oh, but anyway,
So it's actually
Oh,
funny. I looked that up on Reddit.
of course you did.
Shut up. The fucking undersewer of the internet. There is actually at least one subreddit where one of the posts describes cleaning her love holes. And you can probably
What?
look, man. I didn't write the damn thing. All right, I can't take responsibility for these people. But yeah, no, you do bring up a good point. There is maintenance and more importantly disinfection.
I just figured.
Oh my god!
What, just like a real girlfriend, right? Like,
No, human bodies have a thing to. I don't know
of a
how.
thing. Yeah, the thing's called the
Yeah,
shower.
it
It's the
works
soap
itself.
in the
Yeah,
pool.
yeah.
I just figured you threw the sex box into like a bathtub tank, like on the Mandalorian, except with like cleaning solution.
Yeah.
But
What?
um,
You can't throw them in the washer. Anyway, sorry. Men's mental health and sex bots.
yeah,
Where the hell are we headed? Right. I mean, I know my first concern is there is a fertility problem, right? Population problem,
yes,
which
yeah.
is actually a really deep concern, both from a societal standpoint, economic standpoint, and all that. Huge concern. Um, but anyways, sex
Oh,
bots.
don't
Go
worry,
ahead.
don't worry, Vin. No, it's not a problem. If you fuck a sex bot, you're not going to create a cyborg baby. Don't worry. Um,
Not with that attitude, Jesus.
no, but in all seriousness, but I've got like two different views on it. It's like on the one hand, there's going to be the group of men that are not affected by this. The idea of a sex box is nothing more than just like a joke, because they don't have problems meeting women, right? Uh, and they take the women for what they are, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah, you go out with a beautiful woman. You know what? At some point, you're gonna find out she's not so perfect. You're gonna argue. You're gonna find out that she does little things that piss you off. But that's what relationships are. You're gonna have those boring moments. You got to be okay with those boring moments. You got to be okay with having hard conversations because you still love them regardless. And it's almost like if all those problem areas disappeared, they wouldn't even be who they are. And so you don't want to lose that. So to me, those men, but they're not affected by any of this. Okay, they're not affected by any of this. The ones that are affected are going to be either the ones that we talked about, where they're kind of on the fence about things, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
they can be swayed either way. They're basically one girl giving them a wink and a smile away from steering clear of sex bots. But then there's the ones who are they don't have the skill set and they don't have the drive to be the men that we're talking about in high esteem. They're not those guys. They'll be the ones that are. I know, like in a first episode, I was talking about like strain theory, and there's the people who just isolate away from conventional norms, right? They're like, fuck these laws, I don't care. Fuck these standards of what success is, I don't care. Well, people like that probably don't get laid a lot, if we're being perfectly honest. At least not with conscious and
Mm-hmm.
willing participants. And so, and a sex bot is actually perfect for them, and especially if they're feeling a certain way about life, where they're just like, you know what, my life sucks, and I'm going to say end it all. Look, as a mental health professional, I mean, all kidding aside and all that, I don't want to see men take a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Okay, not when they could have done more. And if fucking a robot is gonna keep you alive and uh, going to work, paying your taxes, and otherwise not bothering anybody, fuck all the robots you want. I mean, I'd like to hope that like you can save up and afford one that's sexier than R2D2, but like,
Look, if anything, it's masturbation. But go find a real fucking woman.
and that's where it gets hard. It goes back to what Willie said. It's that, or go to areas of Nevada where prostitution is legal.
Strangely enough, not in Vegas. Of all the freaking
Strangely,
places. Yeah.
what? Yeah.
I'll just go to the red light district in Amsterdam.
But yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, for
Yeah.
certain men, like, look, all kidding aside and all that, like I said, I don't want to see anybody take their life over something that they could fix in it, and they just don't know there's a better way. And if this is what it takes, then I'm just like, fuck, go for it then. I mean, the reality is success is whatever a person defines it is, right? And for some of us, we look at it like we want to hit a milestone, then we want to set another one, because using this example earlier in our episode, hey, you know what's better than 3 touchdowns is 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
And successful men keep leapfrogging, they keep doing that kind of a thing, but that's by my metric. And so yeah, I don't want to like instill that on someone who doesn't see it that way. I just kind of have this universal metric based on evolution and history, and look, some people want to deviate from evolution. They could be my guest. It's just that they're, in some ways, if you think about it, they're actually proving it right, because if you have a sex bot, you're not going to reproduce. The line effectively dies. but at
Right.
least
So what's
you
your?
don't. Yeah.
Oh, please go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, please go
No,
ahead.
but I'm saying, but at least they're not dying by suicide. Is what I'm saying.
Right.
You know, and I just want to definitely say that again. It's just coincidentally because it is Men's Suicide Prevention Awareness. Hey, if those sex bots save lives, then I'll sign off on it.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's nothing worth killing yourself for. I mean, look, unless it's something honorable, like you're in the military, like you're saving that's different. But you
Right.
guys know what I mean. Our listeners know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Is what you're saying. If a sex bot you need a sex bot to help you along the way, so be it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We've all done filthy things growing up as teenagers, right? To get off. It's part of it. It's part of life.
Why
But
don't
no,
these hold anymore?
yeah, I really like that message though, Brian. And I think the three of us have always agreed balance, right? Life's about balance. I feel like so many people have such extreme views on all sides.
Yeah.
There's always some more substance to anything, right? It's
Yeah.
Sex bonds are fully bad. If it helps someone get through a phase, so be it. Social media, right? It's some people take it as motivational. Some people it helps them get through the day. So be it, right? It's what each individual takes out of it, and I think that's really the most important message I think we have to say. But my opinion, right, is men stop being a bunch of whiny little fucking crybabies and take control of your goddamn life. I feel like it drives me insane. You talked earlier about, yeah, I mean, this is why I'm not therapist. That you talk about the fear of rejection, right? This is why Brian's the therapist. He's an expert. The fear of rejection, the fear of saying no. I feel like men need to embrace it and learn from it, right? We've all been through rejections in one way or the other. I know from a business standpoint, you always get if an entrepreneur or business person tells you they've never been rejected, they're full of shit, they're broke, and they're selling you nothing. Get away from them. They're full of shit, right? They're the ones that somehow snuck onto a yacht and took a selfie and said my life is great, but really, they just snuck in there and they're full of shit. Life is full of rejections, it's full of failures, but it's about how you learn from those moments and make yourself better, right? That's life. Life is all about learning, making yourself better, and there's a lot of rejection. I don't care if it's business. I don't care if a girl said no to you. So learn from that. What happened, right? And it's not the end. There's so many other women out there, right? I mean, it's not there's so many more options out there. There's so many more opportunities out there. Take it, learn from it, and then continue to pursue, continue to keep going. That's what drives me nuts about people, especially men who, take rejection, mope, oh my god, my life sucks. Like, shut the fuck up. Do something about it. Sorry for the rant, but that to me, that's just my opinion. And to the listeners that we have, my opinion is you should never. I mean, look, it's going to hurt at the moment. I get it. That's natural. But take that feeling and turn it around. And look, some people, it takes 10 no's or 50 no's. But that yes that you get, whether it's a girl you really like or that business opportunity or whatever it is, it feels much worthier than the first yes, right? Or sorry, or than the easy yes. The moments where you had to really earn it and go through a bunch of shit to finally get that yes feels much better than having it easy. And I think that's just something I think a lot of men need to hear and understand. And it goes for anyone, right? You don't have to be you said that successful person always has that drive. It could be anyone, the person on the fence, or even the ones that have it shitty right now, the bottom dwellers, right? You can get out of it. It's up to you mentally to get out of it. And and in today's world of resources, right? There's no excuse. You can schedule help online. Insurance, a lot of insurance covers therapy, or there's motivational fucking quotes on social. If you're on your damn phone 12 hours a day, there's plenty of motivational quotes or YouTube videos from people talking about life, or podcasts like ours, right, that you can listen to and get advice from or get motivational from. There's many gyms. Even fucking Planet Fitness is $10 a month to give you pizza, but don't get the pizza. But go to the gym, lift, get your frustrations out.
Don't set off the stupid alarm they have.
Yeah, so like there's
so Planet Fitness. That thing goes off just when you open the door.
Yeah, no, I hate fucking Planet Fitness, but if you have to go. But all I'm saying is there's so many in 2024. We're getting close to 2025. There's never been more information or more opportunities or more choices than ever before.
Yeah.
So don't make a fucking excuse and figure it out, build a tribe or access the information and turn it around. And the last thing I'll say here in this rant is that there's gonna be a lot of these fucking moments in between and where it's quiet time or it's like you may not feel the progress or you may not get that dopamine like you said, but you just gotta keep grinding, right? And it's those in between moments that people have to remember. Not all entrepreneurs, not all celebrities, not all successful people, whatnot, have that rush every day. No, it's in between those moments that's what defines you and what builds you. Is the patience, is the discipline, and everything else that will get you there and working on yourself. So if she said no to you because of X, Y, and Z moments, build on those X, Y, and Z moments, right? Get there. Take that. It may take a year. It may take a couple months. I don't know, but work through it. I think that's what's really important that a lot of men need to understand and realize. And also be yourself. Sorry, one more. Be yourself. Fuck. Like you are who you are. Embrace it and be that way because I think the most authentic people are the ones that do succeed. And I think women are attracted to that, or the right woman would be attracted to who you are. Because if you have to change yourself to be the person for that person, that's not the right person for you. And I know that through personal experience. Look, Willie knows this. Like and he's warned me through some of the relationships I've been through. Right, I changed myself a little bit for the negative. It's not like make yourself better, like clean them up. Not that little stuff. Make your bed. That's different.
Gucci loafers and the tracksuit with the gold chain.
Right. It's like you have to change yourself from a personality set of who you are. Right. If you have to change who you are, that's when it's dangerous. And people just be yourself. Right. You need to improve yourself. Right. But you also need to stay who you truly are in your personality. If you're a goofy person or, autistic or you're this and that, don't change that. Just be who you are.
Well,
don't hide it. Right.
You can change it at all, man, even if you wanted to.
No, but I mean, like, don't try to disguise it though, right? There's people that have flaws, right? The so-called flaws. There is no flaws. You are who you are. You do not have flaws, right? Just accept who you are. Now, yes, if you piss all the toilet seat, yeah, you need to fucking wipe that down. That's disgusting.
Yeah, that's a flaw.
Or if you're 500 pounds, fucking have a vegetable and go to Planet Fitness. Lose some fucking weight. Like improve yourself. But be who you are, though, right? But being who you are isn't 500 pounds. It's fucking disgusting, okay? So, but anyways, that rant's over. You guys, floors to you. Sorry, I had to throw it in there.
People.
Yes, I'm fat shaming. I'm absolutely fat shaming. If your cholesterol is over 300 fucking points, your insulin or your whatever sugar measurement is like 10, and you can't walk up the stairs without sweating the bullets, or you can't fit through the goddamn door, do something about it. Right, it's more so for your own health, because we don't want you to die early either. At the same time, so if anything, it comes from a caring standpoint for your own health. Like, please, I'm fat shaming because I care. Ice cream. Yeah, I'm fat shaming because I care. Okay.
Jesus Christ. I feel bad for your future kids. Brian's gonna build a new pool just from their bill.
Oh my god! Hey, I took honesty as the best policy as a kid to heart.
Look.
There's a good point. There's probably some rough truth there.
Yes.
That people need to hear. I think I think as far as like the Sexbots or honestly one of the best examples of what will probably happen to a majority of people isn't actually from the Sexbot current news industry cycle, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's actually from an old short story by George Martin.
What?
Yeah, the guy that can't finish Game of Thrones. He wrote a story called Meat House Man. And instead of Sexbots, they're actually corpses, which is kind of weird. But no, anyway, shut the fuck up. The point is that the main character's flaws are so great that he becomes dependent on the meat houses to fulfill, a gaping hole because he did exactly what he said. He went after some female character, probably pedestalized her a bit much. Got rejection, couldn't deal with the rejection. Said, "Fuck it, he's just gonna nail corpses." And the parallel in reality, I think, is probably gonna be like that's the sad part, the fine line between, if fucking a robot keeps you from blowing your brains out, fuck the robot.
Yeah.
But don't stay there. Realize, yeah, I'm fucking a robot because I don't want to blow my head off, but I still have a plan to actually, move to a bedroom partner that has a pulse. I don't just want to stay stagnant, dick in the sex bots. And I think that's probably the biggest danger when these things get to the resolution level where you can't tell them apart. We're living in the Netflix show Better Than Us. Like they're indistinguishable from people. Like, what do you do then? Like, how do you keep from falling down that rabbit hole?
Right. One last thing for Brian. One more piece of fucking advice for everyone listening. Be a friend. That's the one thing too. Be a friend. And what I mean by being a friend is this. Being a friend is not only being there for them, but being honest. Being a goddamn friend and giving honest feedback. And this is important because, Brian, like you said, this month is Men's Suicide Prevention Month, right? Which is really important. Be a fucking friend. Not only check in on them, but really have a conversation with them. Because I think that can really help. And be honest, right? If that person's been a Debbie Downer for no fucking reason, or so focused on this one woman that you sit on the pedestal, talk to them. Like, look at how many other MBG, how many other women are out there that are better out there, or look at all these other opportunities, right? Or hey, let's go to the bar right now, right? Like, be a friend. And I feel like so many people nowadays say they're a friend, but they're full of shit, right? And this is why, Brian, I love what you said before, and why you're such a great mental health expert. It's about men building a tribe.
Yeah.
When you have a tribe, that tribe will actually be honest with you. And this is why I appreciate you two so much, because you're always honest with me. I know Willie's got me out of so many fucking rabbit holes through the years, many years, because he was honest. He looked me in the face and was like, "You're a piece of shit right now. Change your goddamn attitude."
I don't recall explicitly saying that you're a piece of shit. I do recall.
I'm just summarizing.
I recall explicitly asking you, "What the fuck are you smoking?"
Yeah.
Those words have come out of my mouth a time or two. I don't ever recall ever.
But like, you were honest with me, man, and that's what I appreciate about you, right? Most other people around were like, "Oh yeah, that's cool, man. Yes, let's do this." All this kind of stuff, but you went, "Hold on, this isn't you, Vin. What the fuck are you smoking?" And you reminded me of who I really was, and that really helped me. So I really appreciate you. But for everyone out there, please be a friend, right? Or if you're not going to be a friend, get the fuck out of their life, huh?
Yeah, everyone needs a friend like me. I'm like, huh? You spent how much on that tracksuit? You look like a Puerto Rican whore.
That was one hell of a phase of mine. I was a little Puerto Rican whore.
Did you forget to use soap? You cannot actually bathe in Axe body spray. That's not what it's fucking for.
First off, it wasn't Axe, okay?
Nobody needs that shit on them.
It wasn't Axe. It was cheap Armani, okay?
Oh, my God.
Willie, Axe body sprays for the middle class, okay? Come on now. Vin would not be caught dead with that.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
Was that perfume shop with the little cross thing on the logo?
Creed.
Yeah.
Creed
is
the
goat. Use Creed. Just rip the top off and fucking marinate yourself in that shit like a goddamn ribeye.
Oh, man. But seriously.
Everyone, the fucking dead can smell your success.
Pretty much. But seriously, though, guys, like, everyone listening, especially men, right? Be a fucking friend. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like, we men need to be more honest with one another and not be afraid. Like, real men, we have honest conversations with one another. And if you're not willing to be that friend, get the fuck out of their life. Like, all you're going to do is be more harmful to that person if you're going to lie to them or be fake to them. All you're going to do is just add on to the bullshit that they're dealing with. So just be honest with yourself as well as be honest to them. Sorry, Brian.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right about be a friend and give real honest advice too. Give the correct critique, because I'll give you a scenario that I could foresee happening to someone who's listening to what I'm saying about, like, let's say they're feeling low and they're just like, yeah, I can't get women. I'm gonna buy like a sex bot, and she's gonna be beautiful. I'm gonna customize her to look like just absolutely like my dream girl. Okay. But here's my concern though. Let's say that it works really well and really gets this person out of his funk, and he's productive. He goes to work. He hangs out with his friends again. But the concern now, though, I would have, and I would hope that a friend intervenes to kind of check him, is now he has he may have a unrealistic body standard of what he thinks a woman that he asks out should have. He may be like, well, I'm not going to ask a woman out unless she weighs this much, has these measurements,
Yeah.
right? Because my artificial girlfriend over here has like a perfect body. And granted, like there's more to it, but it's just that, you know, men, hey, look, we're attracted to a woman with our eyes first. That's just how it goes, right? I'm not, so I don't want women to think that I'm saying looks are the only thing. But for a guy who has now got this idealized girlfriend that's not real, I'm just afraid that now he's going to have a very, very unrealistic standard of beauty. And as a friend, you got to check him on it and say, you literally designed the perfect female specimen. They don't exist, right? You didn't need a filter because you just literally created her in the image you wanted her, and all that. And so men have to realize too that sometimes, like you said, Vin, like be yourself. Now, sometimes, unfortunately, yourself is an asshole, okay? And we have to find a woman that is okay with that kind of asshole. And listen, I can say that because
Thank God I did, by the way.
I can say that because lots of men out there are also attracted to a certain level of crazy from a woman. So listen, we're all attracted to different types of women. It's just that I've often said that there are certain criteria that are like all men and women have to meet in the eyes of the person that they're with, right? And everything else is like a little bit of extra credit. But like such a guy though, no, he would have to be checked by his friend to be like, you're never going to get a girl because you're going for all the girls that look like a 10 and they're all laughing at you because you, objectively speaking, are a 4 in terms of looks.
In
right?
good light.
Yes, that's honesty right there, baby. I love it. Yeah.
And your income, you're a 3. Okay. And so it's like, and you might not have problem solving skills. And so they'd be like, so you don't rank high in the sexual marketplace. So you cannot expect to be like with Jessica Alba, right? When you've been at home fucking Jessica Rabbit. You see what I mean? And so it doesn't work that way. That's sometimes a friend has to tell a friend hard truths. And once upon a time, men were pretty goddamn good at that. You see? And so we need to maintain that instead of like, well, am I going to hurt his feelings? Well, sometimes men do need to get their feelings hurt. Now, I'm not saying like drive them to the point of depression, but that's where the phrase busting balls comes from. Men, we bust balls. That's how we get each other to not make stupid mistakes, right? But that's the thing. That's what a tribe does. But yes, no unrealistic expectations, men. A doll is a doll because it's not real. Real women like that do not exist. So don't have that expectation, especially if you're a man who is mad that women have an unrealistic expectation of you and of other men. Don't do the same thing to them.
Well, it's terrifying.
That's spot on.
It's like, yeah, you're gonna call that so-called friend out, and I say so-called friend because I'm thinking of one individual in particular whose name I don't want in my mouth, so I'm not gonna say it. My fear is on a mass scale. You try to do that. You try to be the good friend. You're like, you know what? You are literally playing God with your little fuck boy or your fuck toy. Sorry, Van. Not you. I know you're the fuck boy, not the fuck toy. But it's like, no, you're literally playing God with your fuck toy, and history has a nasty habit of making examples out of people who play God. But at the same time, what do you do with the people that? Because you know what's going to happen. You're going to call them out. You're going to try to make them better, and most of the people in the world, again, remembering the bell curve, most of the people are either really good or really bad. They're just fucking average. Most people are going to retreat. And like, well, that Brian guy is an asshole, because he doesn't love my Monica 3.0, and they're just going to retreat further and further into the multifunctional basement, like on a mass scale. Like, that is literally the death of society. Like, that is literally entire generations of people who are not functionally breeding, not to be too crass, more crass than normal, but look, if you don't get pregnant, you don't perpetuate the species. That's just kind of how biology works. Sorry, California. But it's like, how do you address that, and like the defend? I call it the defensive withdrawal into your own delusion. Like that. That's what terrifies me. That might actually be what happens more often than not.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
a good point, and I think only time will tell, right? And see how this all plays out. But I think what we can do now is just men just need to get their heads out of asses and just be men again. Um, Help one another, be honest one another. Like what we've said the past couple hours is just we need to be there for one another, and I think that's what's missing is this real human interaction. And I think maybe for many of these people, like you said with the bell curve, is maybe once people feel that human interaction again, the ones that have been lacking it, I I think that gets addictive, right? Because in an
Sure.
age where everything is so
Yes.
virtual, we're just naturally human, right? So I think, I know we all make a point of hanging out together, right, in person, and I think that gets contagious, and it makes you want to do it again.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
think for listeners out there, is just try to make time to hang out with your buddies, and I think that will help really level that, hopefully,
Hopefully.
because in my opinion, that there's nothing more addictive in a positive way than having good people around you and having a good fucking time. And I think that's why people just got to date around too. Again, she may not be Monica 3.0, but you're having fun with her, right? You have a good time, and I think again that real love connection will play a difference. And that's just my opinion. Is I think that will really help moving forward. And I think I mean, we talk about this all the time with politics, but politics reflects a lot about humans. Is we always
Yeah.
tend to go one stream to the other. And you look at history, tens and thousands of years, hundreds of thousands, many years, things always swing one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
What's those little balls that hit each other on the desk?
Newton's
What do you call
cradle.
that? Yeah, it's like that, right? The plant, our world always has a way of balancing itself, and I think we may go to that extreme, like you said, Willie. But I think because of that, people are going to miss that human interaction, and I
Sure.
think we'll swing back the other way. It's just like politics, right? We went, you go crazy left, you go back to crazy right.
Yeah,
You
Joe
go crazy
Rogan's got
right,
some
you go
good words
crazy
on
left.
that.
Yeah, but then I was like, all right, let's go with normal.
Plain and
So let's
boring.
go. Yeah, let's go back to boring. Let's make boring great again. So that's so so I think yeah, or there's like people go, oh, dictatorship. No, let's go back to democracy.
Yeah.
So you look at history. I think there's a so that's what I want to is a message of hope, right? And I think the hope is that yeah, you may see things and everything's overwhelming, but things have a way of balancing itself. And I think all people and our listeners need to know is just focus on what you can do for your own life and for your family and for your friends. I think that's what's the most important thing is don't get in other people's fucking business, right? Mind your own damn business. And if you can do that and focus on yourself as a whole of a community, we'll be better off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rod.
I just wanted to. What's one last thing I'll say, and it's actually just a homework assignment I want to give the men listening right now. I want you guys to watch a classic 1993 movie called Demolition Man. And by the end of it, I want you to decide who you want to be in that utopian world. And I'll just leave it at that. Because it touches on all the stuff we're talking about right now.
Love it.
That's a damn good point. Man, I would just add, just be honest. And I know sometimes it's hard when you're, kind of an aspie like me. And for those out there in listener land, like, yeah, that was a real diagnosis. I can talk all the shit I want. I'm not I'm not speaking as the outer. Uh, if someone actually has any value to you, and I know it's difficult to spend time, just be upfront. It's like, hey, I just want to let you know, I hang out with you because I genuinely give a shit, and you do bring, some measurable value into my life. You don't have to say it all the time. You don't have to like fawn all over each other, but yeah, just make sure that that's known. Because despite what people might think, human beings are not actually psychic. You don't always know. Well, like, yeah, I'm trying to be a good friend of this person. Do they get it? Like, what do they? Just fucking tell them. It's like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you spending time with me. I appreciate you not wasting my time uh, with our interactions. That's all part of being a functional member of society.
Yeah. So I think with that, I think our fourth episode. Oh no, this is our third episode. Sorry. With our third episode, I think this has been
I'm gonna
very
get you a book
enlightening.
on counting for Christmas.
I know we should,
Oh,
but
Vin, hold on real quick.
yeah.
I don't know why I didn't bring this up earlier, but I know I
Come on,
spoke on
Brian.
it.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
I didn't speak on this. I spoke on this in a prior episode, but so I can officially share that I am licensed in the state of Nevada now, and I do have a office there. Right now, I'm only doing telehealth, but if people want to see me in person out there, I'm on West Sahara. We can arrange something, but yeah, I could legally take therapy clients in Nevada in addition to California now. So if we have any listeners in Nevada and you want to book a session with me, then please feel free to reach out. I mean, you could do it through our social media here, or just it's Brian Doe LMFT on Instagram. So
Yeah,
just
and to be
want to
clear
share
with
that.
that, Brian, to just be real quick for people to know, like is if you're anywhere else outside of California, Nevada, you can also book life coaching, which is therapy, but it's life coaching
Yep.
with you as well. So I think important for people to know, and our offer is still out there. Brian offers free sessions, first one, a free consultation, and we'll also throw in a $25 free Chipotle gift card. All dudes, come on, we love Chipotle. Let's be honest.
Right.
We love Chipotle. It's a meatball with rice and beans and flavor. So, but no,
I like
again, we want to thank our
sauerkraut
list.
better.
Yeah, or kava. We want to
Kava's the
thank our
truth.
listeners very much for the support. Again, 10,000 listeners, and come
Yeah,
on,
that's a lot.
let's be honest with one another. Let's help one another. There's nothing wrong with booking either a booking a session with a therapist or a life coach. That to me, that's a mark of a stronger man who wants to be solutions oriented. So let's help one another out. Let's spread the word. Free consultation with Brian. $25 Chipotle gift card. Let's make this happen. Spread the word, and hopefully we'll double our listeners here in the third episode. But we appreciate all y'all.